Commander Eliza Jones was enjoying her first peaceful sleep in 3 days when the alarm on her wrist device broke the silence. She opened her eyes and blinked at the ceiling of her quarters on Outpost Zeta 9. The blue emergency light flashed, indicating a priority alert. She tapped the device and sat up. "Commander, you're needed on the command deck immediately," said the voice of Lieutenant Greg Howard. His usually calm tone had an edge to it. "What's happening, Lieutenant?" she asked, already pulling on her uniform. "Something unusual on the long-range sensors. You need to see this." 5 minutes later, Eliza stepped onto the command deck of the Commonwealth Border Security Station. The large room buzzed with unusual activity for this time of night cycle. Officers moved between stations with purpose, and the main display screen showed a sector of space that should have been empty. Lieutenant Howard stood at the sensor station, his tall frame hunched over the display. He looked up as she approached. "Commander, at 0247 hours, our deep space sensors picked up an object moving at high velocity toward Commonwealth space," he said, pointing to a blinking dot on his screen. "Another rogue comet?" Eliza asked. Howard shook his head. "No, ma'am. It's artificial, and it's fast. Faster than anything in our records." Eliza felt a chill run down her spine. The Commonwealth had ruled this sector of the galaxy for over 500 years. Their database contained records of every vessel type from all known civilizations. "Show me," she ordered. Howard brought up the data on the main screen. The mysterious object was small, perhaps the size of a standard explorer vessel, but its speed was unlike anything Eliza had ever seen. "Have you tried hailing it?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." "No response on any standard frequencies." Eliza studied the trajectory. "Where's it heading?" "That's the concerning part," Howard said, expanding the map. "Based on its current path, it's heading straight toward the Axion system." Eliza felt her mouth go dry. Axion Prime was the capital world of the entire Commonwealth, home to Emperor Zax Thule and the central government. "Alert Admiral Martinez. I want a defense fleet mobilized immediately." "Already done, ma'am." "And the Emperor?" "His office has been notified. They're requesting updates every 30 minutes. Eliza nodded and moved to her command station. She placed her palm on the authentication panel and brought up the emergency. "Protocols. I'm authorizing Alert Level 2 for all border stations. I want every sensor focused on that vessel." The officers around her moved with renewed urgency. On the main screen, the blinking dot continued its unwavering path toward the heart of the Commonwealth. "Do we have any visual yet?" she asked. A young officer at the imaging station spoke up. "Working on enhancing the long-range scans now, Commander." Moments later, a grainy image appeared on the screen. The vessel was unlike any Commonwealth design. It had a central cylindrical section with what appeared to be propulsion rings around its aft section. No visible weapons could be seen, but that didn't mean they weren't there. "Run that through the identification database," Eliza ordered. Lieutenant Howard was already working on it. "No matches, Commander, not even close." This was unprecedented. The Commonwealth had cataloged the technology of every spacefaring race in this part of the galaxy. An unknown vessel with no matching records could only mean one thing: a new player had entered their territory. The communication panel chimed. "Admiral Martinez is requesting a direct link, Commander." "Put him through." The stern face of Admiral Victor Martinez appeared on the screen. Behind him, Eliza could see the busy command center of the Commonwealth Defense Fleet headquarters. "Jones, what exactly are we dealing with?" he asked without preamble. "Unknown vessel, sir. Technology doesn't match anything in our records. It's on a direct course for Axion Prime and moving faster than our fastest ships." The Admiral's expression darkened. "Can we intercept?" "I've run the calculations," Lieutenant Howard said. "We can position the 7th Fleet to intercept in approximately 8 hours. Admiral Martinez nodded. "I've already ordered the fleet to move. The Emperor is concerned." "As he should be," Eliza replied. "Sir, I recommend we activate the planetary defense grid on Axion Prime as a precaution." "Already done. Keep me updated on any changes." The Admiral's image disappeared from the screen. For the next 2 hours, Eliza and her team tracked the mystery vessel. Its speed remained constant, impossibly fast by Commonwealth standards but not increasing. Maybe, just maybe, they could intercept it before it reached the capital. Then everything changed. "Commander," Lieutenant Howard called out, "the vessel is accelerating." Eliza rushed to his station. The sensor readings were clear. The unknown vessel had nearly doubled its speed. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Nothing can move that fast." Communication panel chimed again. This time it was a direct call from the Emperor's office. Eliza took a deep breath and accepted the transmission. Emperor Zaxthul's reptilian features filled the screen. His normally golden scales had a pale, worried tint to them. "Commander Jones, explain to me why this vessel continues to approach my world," he said, his multi-toned voice reverberating with authority and fear. "Your Majesty, we're doing everything possible to intercept. Admiral Martinez has deployed the fleet which is now being outpaced by this intruder," the Emperor interrupted. "I am calling an emergency session of the War Council. You will attend virtually and provide all information on this threat." "Yes, Your Majesty." The Emperor's image vanished, leaving Eliza staring at the main display where the mysterious vessel now moved even faster toward the heart of the Commonwealth. "Commander," Lieutenant Howard said quietly, "the vessel has changed course again. It's now on a precise heading directly for Axion Prime. This isn't random. Whatever it is, it knows exactly where it's going." Eliza watched as the trajectory line shifted, creating a perfect path to the capital world. She had spent her entire career protecting the Commonwealth borders from known threats, pirates, smugglers, the occasional dispute with neighboring powers. But this was different. This unknown vessel represented something the mighty Commonwealth had never faced before. A complete unknown. "Patch me into the War Council," she ordered. "And keep tracking that vessel. I want to know the moment anything changes." As she prepared for the council meeting, Eliza couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The Commonwealth had stood unchallenged for centuries. But as she looked at the mysterious vessel speeding toward their capital, she wondered if that era of dominance was coming to an end. The Nevada desert stretched out in all directions around the Armstrong Space Center. The sun beat down on the massive complex of buildings and launch pads. It was a hot day in 2136, but the heat was the least of humanity's worries. Dr. Patricia Miller stood at the observation window, looking down at the sleek vessel sitting on the launch pad. The ship was unlike any space vehicle built before it. Its smooth silver hull gleamed in the sunlight, and the experimental propulsion rings circled its rear section. The name Horizon was painted in simple black letters on the side. "Beautiful, isn't she?" a voice said behind her. Patricia turned to see Captain Alan Wright walking toward her. He was tall with short brown hair and clear blue eyes. His flight suit bore the NASA patch and the special insignia of Project Pathfinder. "She is," Patricia agreed. "I just wish we had more time to test her." Alan shrugged. Time is the one thing Earth doesn't have anymore. He was right. Outside the climate-controlled building, dust storms regularly swept across land that had once been fertile. The world's resources were running out. Wars over water and farmable land had left millions dead. Project Pathfinder was humanity's desperate attempt to find a new home among the stars. "The final checks are complete," Patricia said. "The Horizon is ready to launch tomorrow." Alan nodded, his expression serious. They both knew what this mission meant. The ship's experimental faster-than-light drive was based on theoretical physics. No one knew if it would actually work. And even if it did, this was a one-way trip for Alan. "Catherine wants to see us in the briefing room," Patricia said. They walked together through the halls of the facility. Staff members nodded respectfully as they passed. Everyone knew Captain Wright was likely walking to his death, but no one said it out loud. Catherine Coleman, the NASA director, waited for them in the briefing room along with William Boyd, the government liaison. Catherine was a small woman with graying hair and tired eyes. Boyd was the opposite, tall, crisp suit, and the look of someone who had never missed a meal despite the global food shortages. "Captain Doctor," Catherine greeted them. "Please sit down." Alan and Patricia took their seats at the table. I just got off a call with the president, Catherine said. The launch is approved for 0600 tomorrow. What about the protests? Patricia asked. Many people thought the resources for the mission should be used to help people on Earth instead. Security will handle it, Boyd said dismissively. This mission is too important to delay. Catherine opened a folder and slid it across the table to Alan. These are your final mission parameters, Captain. Your primary objective is to reach Proxima Centauri and assess the potentially habitable planet we've detected there. Alan looked through the papers. And if I find it suitable for human life? Then you activate the beacon, Catherine said. If we receive your signal, we'll know where to send the colony ships, if we can build them in time. The room fell silent. They all knew the odds. No human had traveled beyond the moon in decades as Earth's resources were directed to solving the climate crisis. Now they were sending one man on an experimental ship to a star system 4.2 light-years away. The cryosleep system is our best work, Patricia said, breaking the silence. It should keep you alive for the journey. Should, Alan repeated with a slight smile. We've done everything possible to ensure your survival, Catherine said. But we all understand the risks. Alan closed the folder. I volunteered for this mission with open eyes, Director. I know what's at stake. Later that evening, Patricia found Alan in the ship's hangar, doing a final walkthrough of the Horizon systems. Checking my work? Patricia asked as she approached. Alan smiled. Just getting familiar with my new home. Patricia watched as he ran his hand along the ship's control panel. You know, the theoretical calculations for the drive are sound, but no one knows what will actually happen when we activate it. Alan finished for her. I know, Patricia. I've made peace with it. Patricia felt her eyes fill with tears. I wish I was going with you. Earth needs brilliant minds like yours here, he said gently. Besides, someone has to build those colony ships when I find our new home. They spent the next hour going through the ship's systems one last time. The Horizon was small, just big enough for one person and the essential equipment. Most of the space was taken up by the experimental drive and the cryosleep chamber. Before dawn the next day, Alan prepared for launch. He stood in his flight suit as the small group of essential personnel gathered to see him off. There was no big ceremony. Earth had bigger concerns than a likely doomed mission to the stars. Catherine shook his hand. Good luck, Captain Wright. Boyd nodded stiffly. For humanity. When it was Patricia's turn, she hugged him tightly. The cryosleep will activate automatically once you're clear of the solar system. If all goes well, you'll wake up as you approach Proxima Centauri. I'll send you a postcard, Alan joked. 2 hours later, Alan was strapped into the pilot's seat as the countdown reached 0. The Horizon lifted off smoothly, climbing through Earth's atmosphere and into orbit. Mission Control tracked his progress as he prepared for the first test of the experimental drive. Horizon, you are cleared for Phase 1 of drive activation, the controller said. Roger that, Alan replied. Beginning drive sequence now. On the ground, Patricia watched the monitors anxiously. The ship's energy readings climbed steadily as the drive powered up. Energy levels at 80% and rising, Alan reported. All systems nominal. Looking good, Horizon, the controller replied. Suddenly, the readings spiked. Warning alerts blared through mission control. Horizon, we're seeing unexpected power fluctuations. Recommend abort drive sequence, the controller said urgently. Unable to abort, Alan's voice came through, tense but controlled. Drive is in automatic sequence, energy levels exceeding predicted maximum. Patricia rushed to the main console. Alan, try emergency shutdown protocol. Attempting shutdown, Alan responded. No effect, His voice cut off abruptly. On the tracking screens, the Horizon signal flared brightly and then vanished completely. Signal lost, the controller announced. No debris detected. The room fell silent. Patricia stared at the empty screen, her hands trembling. Did it work? Boyd asked. Did he make the jump? Or did the ship disintegrate? Catherine said quietly. Patricia couldn't answer. The horizon was gone, vanished without a trace. Whether Captain Alan Wright had been vaporized or flung into the depths of space, no one could tell. Either way, humanity's desperate reach for the stars seemed to have failed. What none of them knew was that at that very moment, the horizon was being hurled not just through space but through time as well, a relic of Earth's past on a collision course with the future of the galaxy. Cold. That was Alan Wright's first feeling as the cryo-sleep chamber began its wake-up sequence. His eyes opened slowly, his mind struggling to form clear thoughts. The soft blue light of the ship's interior glowed around him. Something was wrong. The wake-up sequence had started too soon. The chamber hissed as it opened fully. Alan's stiff body protested as he tried to move. The ship's computer spoke in its calm voice. Emergency revival complete. Critical situation detected. Alan pushed himself up, his muscles weak after what should have been years of sleep. Computer, status report. Ship systems operating at 73% capacity. Location unknown. Multiple artificial objects detected nearby. Alan's mind cleared quickly. Show me outside view. The screen in front of him flickered to life, and Alan gasped. The blackness of space was broken by the curve of a beautiful blue-green planet. But that wasn't what shocked him. Surrounding his small ship were at least 20 vessels of strange design. They were massive compared to the horizon, with smooth, purple hulls that seemed to shimmer in the starlight. Computer, how long was I in cryosleep? Calculating based on atomic clock variance. Estimated duration. 351 years, 7 months, 12 days. Alan felt his heart skip a beat. Over 300 years? That wasn't possible. The cryosleep system was designed for a journey of just a few years. A light flashed on the communication panel. Unknown transmission detected, the computer announced. Put it through, Alan ordered, his voice hoarse. The screen changed to show a being unlike anything Alan had ever seen. The creature had smooth purple skin, large, almond-shaped eyes, and no visible nose. When it spoke, its small mouth moved in strange ways. Unknown vessel, this is Ambassador Nicole Palmer of the Galactic Commonwealth. Your presence in Axion space is unauthorized. Identify yourself immediately. Despite the alien appearance, the being spoke perfect English. Alan blinked in confusion. This is Captain Alan Wright of Earth Vessel Horizon. Where am I? The ambassador's eyes widened slightly. Earth? You claim to be human? I am human, Alan confirmed. What year is it? By your Earth calendar, it would be 2487. Alan felt dizzy. It was true. Over 300 years had passed. Everyone he knew was long dead. Earth itself might not even exist anymore. Captain Wright, your vessel will be escorted to our orbital station. Do not attempt to flee or take any aggressive action. Commonwealth forces have weapons locked on your position. The transmission ended before Alan could respond. He looked back at the view screen. The large alien ships had moved into a formation around the horizon. They were trapped. The next hours passed in a blur. The horizon was guided to a massive space station orbiting the blue-green planet. Once docked, Alan was escorted by tall, purple-skinned guards to what appeared to be a medical facility. Doctors in strange uniforms examined him while speaking, in a language he couldn't understand. Finally, he was taken to a large room with a window overlooking the planet below. Ambassador Palmer was waiting for him, along with an older being whose uniform bore complex insignia. Captain Wright. This is Dr. Keith Jackson, our xenobiologist and first contact specialist, Palmer explained. Dr. Jackson studied Alan with obvious fascination. Remarkable. You appear to be a genuine human from the past. You keep saying that like it's unusual, Alan said. Are there no other humans here? Palmer and Jackson exchanged looks. Captain, the Commonwealth has been observing Earth for the past century, Palmer said carefully. Humans are classified as a pre-spaceflight primitive species. Your planet has not developed faster than light travel. Alan frowned. But the horizon has an FTL drive. That's how I got here. That's impossible, Dr. Jackson said. Our records show human technology is nowhere near capable of FTL travel. Your civilization is still recovering from the great collapse of the 22nd century. Alan's mind raced. The Great Collapse. That must be what they called the climate crisis that was already devastating Earth when he left. Earth survived? He asked, hope rising in his chest. Yes, Palmer confirmed. Though it took nearly a century for the ecosystem to stabilize. Humans have rebuilt their civilization, but they remain confined to their solar system. Then how do you explain my ship? Alan asked. Before either could answer, the door opened and a new figure entered. This being was clearly of a different species, reptilian with golden scales and elaborate clothing. Emperor Zaxathul, Ambassador Palmer said, bowing deeply. Alan remained standing. The Emperor approached him, studying him with cold, vertical pupil eyes. So this is the creature causing such alarm in my empire, the Emperor said. His voice had a strange multi-toned quality. A human from a backward world. I'm Captain Alan Wright of Earth, Alan said firmly. Your vessel's technology is of great interest to us, Captain, the Emperor said. It should not exist. It should not be possible for your kind to have built it. Alan remained silent. He didn't understand what was happening, but he sensed danger. Our scientists have begun examining your ship, the Emperor continued. The drive system is unusual, not based on any known principles of physics we utilize. It was experimental, Alan admitted, based on theoretical physics from my time. The Emperor's eyes narrowed, and yet it worked. It brought you here, centuries into your future and far from your homeworld. A tall being in a military uniform entered and whispered something to the Emperor. The Emperor's scales seemed to pale. It seems your arrival has caused quite a stir, Captain, the Emperor said. General Bennett wishes to speak with you about Earth's current military capabilities. Military capabilities? Alan asked, confused. I've been asleep for over 300 years. I know nothing about Earth's current status. Perhaps, the Emperor said, his tone making it clear he didn't believe Alan. Nevertheless, we find ourselves in an interesting situation. A human, in possession of technology that should not exist, appearing without warning in the heart of the Commonwealth. Ambassador Palmer stepped forward. Your Majesty, if I may, this could be an opportunity. If Captain Wright is telling the truth, this is a unique chance to learn about Earth's past. The Emperor considered this. Very well, Ambassador. He will remain in your custody for now. Learn what you can from him. General Bennett will have his turn later. After the Emperor left, Palmer turned to Alan with concern in her eyes. Captain, I need you to understand your situation. The Commonwealth has strict protocols regarding emerging species. Earth has been under observation but classified as non-threatening due to its limited technology. But my ship changes that assessment, Alan finished for her. Yes, if humans had FTL capability centuries ago, as your presence suggests, it raises serious questions about what Earth might be capable of now. Alan looked out the window at the planet below. I just want to go home. That may not be possible, Palmer said softly, but I will help you navigate this situation as best I can. As night fell on Axion Prime, Alan stood alone in his quarters, watching the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the home he had left behind centuries ago. A home that had somehow survived without him, and that might now be in danger because of his unexpected return from the past. The room was cold and stark. Alan sat at a metal table across from General Frank Bennett of Commonwealth Intelligence. The general's purple skin was darker than Ambassador Palmer's, and his uniform bore many badges and symbols Alan didn't understand. Let's start again, Captain Wright, the general said. His voice was flat and emotionless. You expect me to believe you are from Earth's past? It's the truth, Alan said. This was the third hour of questioning, and he was tired. I've already told you everything I know. Yes, your story about an experimental ship from a dying Earth. The general tapped a screen in front of him. Very dramatic, but hard to believe. Alan sighed. I don't care if you believe me. The facts won't change. The general leaned forward. Here are some facts for you. 1. Your ship appeared out of nowhere at speeds our best vessels cannot match. 2. It headed straight for our capital world. 3. It contains technology that our scientists cannot explain. I'm not a spy, if that's what you're suggesting, Alan said. Then what are you? A lost traveler? A messenger from Earth? The general's eyes narrowed. Or perhaps an advanced scout for a human invasion fleet. Alan laughed despite himself. An invasion fleet? From Earth? The Earth I left was barely keeping its people alive. The Earth you left over 300 years ago, the general reminded him. Much can change in that time. Before Alan could respond, the door opened and Ambassador Palmer entered. That's enough for today, General. The Emperor has ordered Captain Wright return to his quarters. The general didn't look happy, but he stood and left without another word. Palmer watched him go before turning to Alan. Are you all right? She asked. I've been better, Alan admitted. Your general thinks I'm part of some Earth conspiracy. Palmer nodded. The Commonwealth has existed for centuries without any serious rivals. The idea that a supposedly primitive species might possess technology beyond our understanding is disturbing to some. As they walked through the gleaming hallways of the Commonwealth Intelligence Headquarters, Alan noticed other aliens, watching him with curiosity or fear. He was apparently the first human many of them had ever seen. I have something to show you, Palmer said as they entered a different section of the building. Something I think you'll find interesting. She led him to a large laboratory where a group of scientists worked around pieces of equipment Alan recognized from the horizon. His ship was being taken apart. What are you doing to my ship? He demanded. A female scientist with light blue markings on her purple skin looked up. Studying it, she said simply. I'm scientist Olivia Clark, and you must be the human captain. Alan stepped closer to what he recognized as part of the Horizon's drive system. Be careful with that. The drive system is highly experimental. We've noticed, Clark said. The principles it operates on are unusual, not based on standard space-folding technology. A younger male scientist approached, excitement clear on his face. The design is incredible, he said. I'm engineer Tim Rodriguez. The way your drive manipulates the quantum field is unlike anything in Commonwealth science. Alan was surprised. You understand how it works? Not entirely, Rodriguez admitted. But enough to know it's genuine technology, not a hoax or trick. The question is, how did humans develop this centuries before they should have been capable of it? Palmer pulled Alan aside as the scientists returned to their work. This is why the Emperor is concerned, she said quietly. If humans had this technology centuries ago, then what might they have now? Alan finished for her. Exactly. The Commonwealth has been observing Earth for decades. We classified humans as a non-threatening species because your technology seemed limited to your solar system. Alan frowned. You've been watching Earth? Why haven't you made contact? Palmer looked uncomfortable. Commonwealth law forbids contact. With pre-spacefaring civilizations, Earth has been under quarantine. Quarantine, but why? It's standard procedure. We don't interfere with developing species. Something in her tone made Alan suspicious. Is that the only reason? Palmer hesitated. Let me show you something else. She led him to a secure room with a large display screen on one wall. After placing her hand on a scanner, the screen came to life showing images of Earth, modern Earth. Alan stared in wonder at the blue planet. It looked healthier than the Earth he had left, with less visible pollution and more green areas where deserts had been spreading in his time. Earth survived the climate crisis, Palmer said. It took nearly a century, but the ecosystem stabilized. Humans rebuilt their civilization. Alan saw images of cities, some he recognized but with new, sleek buildings and strange flying vehicles. They thrived, he whispered. Yes, Palmer agreed, but they remained isolated. No evidence of faster-than-light travel. No attempts to expand beyond Mars. This is why your ship is so confusing. According to our records, humans never developed the technology you possess. Alan watched the screen as it showed more images of Earth. Maybe the project was abandoned after I disappeared, he suggested. Or maybe the technology was lost during the recovery period. Palmer touched the screen, bringing up a new image, a map of several star systems. This is the Commonwealth, she explained. Over 300 worlds, dozens of species, all under the rule of Emperor Zaxthul. One small dot at the edge of the map was labeled Sol System, Earth. We've kept Earth isolated for a reason, Alan, Palmer said, her voice dropping. The Emperor believes in the superiority of Commonwealth species. Emerging civilizations are watched until they can be safely brought under Commonwealth control. Control? Alan echoed. Earth would have been approached eventually once you develop certain technologies. The standard procedure is to offer membership in the Commonwealth. Under strict terms, of course. Alan understood now. But my ship suggests humans might be more advanced than you thought, more difficult to control. Palmer nodded. The Emperor has already ordered preparation for what we call a containment protocol. A fleet is being assembled to visit Earth, to assess the true level of human technology and ensure compliance with Commonwealth rule. Alan felt cold fear in his stomach. You mean an invasion force? It doesn't have to be, Palmer said quickly. If Earth accepts Commonwealth authority peacefully, and if not. Palmer didn't answer, but her expression told Alan everything he needed to know. I need to warn them, he said. I need to get back to Earth. That may not be possible, Palmer replied. But, she hesitated, then lowered her voice. There might be a way. Your ship's drive system, it's still mostly intact. Engineer Rodriguez believes it could be made operational again. Alan looked at her in surprise. Why would you help me? Palmer glanced at the door, making sure they were still alone. Because I've studied Earth's history and culture for years. Your people deserve better than to become just another conquered world in the Commonwealth. And... She paused. I believe there's more to the story of Earth's isolation than we've been told. Alan looked back at the image of Earth on the screen. His mission had been to find a new home for humanity. Instead, he might now be their only warning against an alien threat. When can we start? He asked. Alarms blared throughout the Commonwealth station as Alan and Ambassador Palmer raced through the corridors. 2 guards lay unconscious behind them, victims of Palmer's surprising combat skills. The docking bay is 3 levels down, Palmer said, her breathing steady despite their sprint. Rodriguez should have the horizon ready. What about the security locks? Alan asked. My access codes will work, but only for a few more minutes before they realize I've gone rogue. They reached an elevator and Palmer pressed her hand against the scanner. The doors opened and they stepped inside. I still don't understand why you're risking everything to help me, Alan said as the elevator descended. Palmer looked at him with serious eyes. I told you I've studied Earth for years. What I didn't tell you is what I found. Records that were supposed to be restricted. The real reason for Earth's quarantine. Which is fear. The Commonwealth encountered humans before, Alan. Not officially, but there were incidents. Explorers who went missing near your solar system. Probes that failed. The few that returned showed evidence of advanced technology far beyond what Earth should have had. Alan frowned. That doesn't make sense. Earth never had contact with aliens in my time. Not officially, Palmer repeated. But someone on Earth has been hiding your planet's true capabilities, making your world appear primitive when it's not. The elevator stopped and the doors opened. Palmer checked the corridor before waving Alan forward. The fleet gathering to contain Earth isn't just a precaution, she said as they moved quickly toward the docking bay. It's based on real fear of what your people might be capable of. They reached the docking bay doors. Palmer entered her code, and the massive doors slid open. Inside, Engineer Rodriguez worked frantically on the horizon. The ship looked battered, but intact, its drive rings now glowing with a soft blue light. It's ready, Rodriguez said as they approached. I've repaired the drive system as best I could. It should get you to Earth, but I can't promise a smooth ride. Thank you, Alan said, shaking the engineer's hand. Don't thank me yet, Rodriguez replied. The hard part is getting past the defense grid. The moment you launch, every ship in the system will be after you. Palmer moved to a control station. I can give you a small head start by disrupting the tracking systems, but it won't last long. Alan climbed into the horizon and settled into the pilot seat. The familiar controls brought back memories of Earth, of the mission that had sent him across centuries. The Commonwealth fleet is already assembling near the jump point to Earth, Palmer said, joining him in the ship. Admiral Martinez is leading them personally. Alan looked at her in surprise. You're coming with me? Someone needs to tell your people the truth about the Commonwealth, she said. Besides, I can't stay here now. I'll be executed as a traitor. Rodriguez gave them a final nod from outside. Good luck. I've added the coordinates for Earth to your navigation system. The docking bay doors began to close suddenly. They've discovered us, Palmer exclaimed. Alan fired up the engines. The horizon hummed to life, its systems responding better than he remembered. Rodriguez had done more than just repairs. Hold on, Alan warned as he lifted the ship off the deck. The small vessel shot toward the closing doors, barely squeezing through the gap before they slammed shut. Outside the station, the darkness of space welcomed them. But not for long. The Commonwealth capital ships were already moving to intercept. Multiple vessels on approach, Palmer reported, looking at the scanner. Defense grid activating. Alan didn't hesitate. He pushed the horizon to full speed, aiming for the edge of the planet's gravity well where they could activate the drive. Energy beams from the capital ships flashed past them. One grazed the hull, causing the ship to shudder. Drive charging. At 60%, Palmer called out. We need 80 for jump. A massive battleship moved to block their path. Alan recognized it from the Commonwealth records as Admiral Martinez's flagship. They're hailing us, Palmer said. Alan nodded, and Martinez's stern face appeared on the screen. Captain Wright, Ambassador Palmer, the Admiral said. This is your only warning. Return to the station immediately or be destroyed. We know about the containment fleet, Admiral, Alan replied. We're going to warn Earth. Earth is a primitive world that will soon join the Commonwealth, willingly or not, Martinez stated. Your stolen vessel and the traitor with you changed nothing. The transmission cut off. The battleship's weapons began to charge. Drive at 75%, Palmer reported. Almost there. The first volley from the battleship missed them by meters. The second wouldn't. We're not going to make it, Alan muttered. Yes, we will, Palmer insisted. Your ship is faster than anything in the Commonwealth fleet. That's what scared them in the first place. She was right. The horizon's speed was increasing beyond what should have been possible. Rodriguez must have enhanced the engines along with his repairs. Drive at 85%, Palmer announced. Ready for jump. Alan smiled grimly as he pressed the activation sequence. Let's show them why they should be afraid. The horizon's drive rings glowed brilliantly as the experimental FTL system engaged. Space bent around them, and the ship vanished from Commonwealth sensors, leaving Admiral Martinez staring in disbelief at empty space. The journey to Earth took less than an hour with the enhanced drive. When they emerged from FTL, the blue planet filled the view screen. It looked so much healthier than Alan remembered. It's beautiful, Palmer whispered, but they weren't alone. As the horizon approached Earth orbit, dozens of ships suddenly appeared around them. They were unlike anything Alan had seen before. Sleek, advanced vessels with no visible propulsion systems. Certainly not the primitive spacecraft Earth was supposed to have. Commonwealth designs? Alan asked. Palmer shook her head, eyes wide. No, nothing like ours. The communication system activated without their input. A woman's face appeared on screen. She wore a simple gray uniform with no markings. Unidentified vessel. This is General Susan Taylor of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered protected space. State your identity and purpose. Alan and Palmer exchanged shocked looks. Earth Defense Force? This is Captain Alan Wright of the Earth vessel Horizon. Alan replied carefully. I've returned from a mission launched in 2136. General Taylor's expression changed from stern to surprised. Captain Wright? The Pathfinder mission? That's impossible. That ship disappeared over 300 years ago. It's a long story, Alan said. But I've returned with a warning. A Commonwealth fleet is preparing to invade Earth. To his surprise, General Taylor merely nodded. Yes, we know. We've been tracking their fleet movements for several days. They'll be arriving in approximately 12 hours. Palmer leaned forward. You know about the Commonwealth? But how? They've kept Earth quarantined. Your people shouldn't even know aliens exist. General Taylor smiled slightly. Ambassador Palmer, I presume. Your Commonwealth has indeed been watching us for decades, just as we've been watching them. The view screen changed to show a massive fleet of Earth vessels gathering in the shadow of the moon. There were hundreds of them, all with the same advanced design. Earth hasn't been defenseless or ignorant, General Taylor explained. We've known about the galaxy for over a century. We simply chose to let the Commonwealth believe we were primitive while we prepared. Alan felt a mixture of pride and shock. You've been hiding your true capabilities all this time? Of course, the general replied. The Commonwealth's history of integrating emerging civilizations is well known to us. We decided to wait until we were ready before revealing ourselves. Palmer looked stunned. The missing explorers, the damaged probes, those weren't accidents. Necessary precautions, General Taylor said without apology. And now, thanks to you both, we have advanced confirmation of their intentions. The Horizon was guided into a massive space dock hidden inside what appeared to be an ordinary space station. As they disembarked, Alan saw hundreds of uniformed personnel preparing for battle. Welcome home, Captain Wright, General Taylor said, extending her hand. You left Earth to find humanity a new home. Instead, you've returned just in time to help us defend our original one. Alan shook her hand firmly. Good thing I brought an inside source on Commonwealth tactics, he said, nodding toward Palmer. Palmer stepped forward. I'm prepared to offer any assistance I can. The Commonwealth isn't evil, just set in its ways. Perhaps this can end without bloodshed. General Taylor's expression was doubtful. We'll see. Emperor Zax Thule doesn't strike me as the type to back down easily. As they walked through the station, Alan saw the results of 3 centuries of human innovation and determination. Earth hadn't just survived, it had thrived and prepared. The Commonwealth fleet would be expecting an easy conquest of a primitive world. They were in for a very rude awakening. Let's prepare our welcome message for Admiral Martinez, Alan suggested, with a smile.